everybody has an hour. Like nobody is that busy that they can't find 1 hour a day to do something good for themselves.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Truth Talks, the podcast that gives you real strategies for sustainable fitness transformation. And today we have another special episode because we are here with our client, Brody. Brody, how you doing today?
Good. How are you doing?
Pretty solid. I'm excited for this one because I feel like we're going to have a lot to talk about. And obviously we've done some cool stuff, together in your journey. But also I want to touch on some other lifestyle factors because I feel like whenever I describe, when people are asking about how you did at like your competition, which we'll talk about and stuff like that, whenever we gave the backstory of like, oh yeah, he also does this and this, and he has this kind of home life, everybody's mind is blown of like, how the hell did he do that? So
Yeah.
I want to kind of give some light onto not only, the accolades and what you've accomplished with your physique, but I also want to talk about maybe some strategies that you've had to also manage, all the life stuff at the same time. So those are kind of the two different things I want to chat about. But first, before we do that, maybe just give us a little bit of a rundown of kind of what prompted you to even start your fitness journey in the first place. Because when we started working together, you had already kind of gotten the ball rolling. So walk us through that.
So last year, towards the beginning of the year, I was having some what really started this was I was having some really bad stomach issues, and acid reflux got to be really, really, really bad. And one of the things was being overweight was a huge factor in that. So the first step that I took towards fixing that was trying to lose a bit of weight. So I started that part of the journey around like 205-ish pounds, right around the time we got home from Disney, January of 2025. And as I started to lose the weight, the interior, like the internals of my body started to feel better too. So I just kept going and kept pushing all the way through to the summer.
Wow. So it was initially like, an internal reason that ended up, just kind of catapulting you down this whole journey of big transformation.
Yeah,
Essentially.
100%. Like
Wow.
I was overweight for the vast majority of my life. I've had cycles where I've tried to get fit, and but it never really stuck. There was always something that just kind of kept pulling me back into those old habits and those old routines.
Okay. So what do you think kind of even when you started the initial momentum, what kept you going then versus other times when maybe, you went from being consistent to then inconsistent? Like what was the difference, I guess?
I think so. So one thing that always had me falling back onto old habits was injuries. Like I kept consistently having a shoulder injury and a neck injury. So going to see a physiotherapist and a chiropractor often enough kept me in the game that I could continue to work out. And ultimately the results, like when you go from being overweight for so long and you see yourself in a much better body composition, it's enough to keep you going for sure.
Yeah, oh, definitely. The positive reinforcement, once you reach that, like you get that first little taste of like, oh, this is what I can do. And then you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I bought in and let's keep going. you
Yeah,
know?
exactly. Yeah, for sure.
And also, did you start kind of your journey at the same time as your wife? Because obviously Courtney did a podcast with M, spoiler alert, they're married. So did you
Yeah.
guys start at the exact same time, or was it kind of one of you started and then the other kind of joined you?
It's actually funny. Like, so I used to work for the Catholic school board in Ottawa as an electrician. And a few years ago, I got really into it. Everything went really well. And I was working out all the time. We had a decent setup in the basement. And then I fell out of it. And M started shortly after that. And when we built our home gym, the joke was like we were actually building it for her, not for me. And yeah, so we've since that point where she dug into it, and then around January, like I said, of last year, we were both in the thick of it together, and it definitely helps doing it together. That's for sure. We feed off each other.
Absolutely. It's funny, Brody's, we have like, I would say a few couples and they always do so much better and they're always so in it for the long run. I guess at this point we have like several different couples and they always crush it and they always hold each other accountable and they work on it as like a project together. And I think it's a lot better when you're both on the same page and say, hey, we both want to make this healthy lifestyle change together and chase our goals versus one of you not understanding and then the other one's trying to do stuff and there's a little bit of friction or something.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, when you're in
So
it together, you can like you said, hold each other accountable. It's easier when you're both like we both do all the meal prep, so we generally eat most of the same things. Obviously our macros and everything are a little bit different, but we're both eating rice, potatoes, meat, and then whatever vegetable, right? So it's all there and ready to go.
just adjust the portions. Yeah, makes it
Yeah,
easy, right?
yeah, for
And
sure.
okay, so before we get more into home life, because I definitely want to talk about that. I want to say maybe when we first started, where were you at? Because you obviously did some good work on your own. You had that initial kind of momentum built, and then where were you at with your physique and kind of everything in terms of your journey when we first linked up?
So January to June, give or take, last year, I was in a fat loss or I was in a fat loss phase for that point. Then I started with my old coach towards the end of June, and we did a maintenance for like 6 to 8 weeks. And when I reached out to you, I had already started my building phase. I was, I would say, probably like six. When did we start together? October?
Somewhere around there, if I remember correctly. I would have it in my notes. I can actually tell you right now. So yeah, looking at our sheets, we did start last October. So I
So
guess
October.
starting from there.
So
Yeah.
so then with you, I jumped right into to that building phase, and we dialed in the macros and everything at that point. So
Okay. Okay. And kind of what was the difference? And then we'll touch on the kind of like what we did after the building phase, but what was kind of the initial changes based on like what we were doing compared to what you were doing before? Like what were the major differences?
major differences. My protein intake was ridiculously high when I had shown you what I was eating before, and I the volume that I was doing with the old coach was just it was crazy intense, and there was some really weird exercises, and the volume was just it was very obscure. Let's just say that, and so we increased the carbohydrates, decreased the protein, and yeah, it was definitely for the better. Everything was, I performed a lot better.
Yeah. You notice like, yeah, in the gym, you just had a lot more punch and things were just kind of ripping a lot better.
Yeah,
Or,
well, I mean, my protein intake was super high, but my carbs were lower, and I was doing a
Mhm.
higher volume before. Yeah, so my protein was so high, my volume was higher, and my carbs were lower. So I was doing more volume, but didn't have the energy to perform those exercises.
Gotcha. And I'm surprised because you also work a physical job too. Were you just feeling like constantly run down from training
I
that
was
much?
I was dreading I was dreading the vast majority of my workouts, and I
Jeez.
could definitely feel it day after day for sure.
Yeah, and I think the first thing, because originally when we first started, I still remember you sent me a message like, "Hey, is there a reason why my protein is low?" And I was like, "It's not low. Like this is like still considered like relatively high." And I was like, "How much were you eating before?" And he told me, and I was like, "Did you have digestive issues?" And
Yeah,
you're like, "Yeah,
yeah, that
yeah."
might be part of the reason why. Yeah.
Potentially, yeah. Okay, so we made some changes there, and then we obviously tweaked your training a little bit on like how it was set up, and obviously the volume, and kind of rearranged things, and then we continued that building phase. So we made some pretty good gains on specific muscle groups, and then we said, "Hey, we want to do a competition prep." Right. So, kind of walk us through your initial thoughts on like maybe how you were expecting the competition prep to go versus like how it actually went. We can talk about results and stuff like that after.
So, like, let's start with last year. Last year, when I was doing my first cut that I had organized and done everything myself, I was on like 1,800 calories. I was doing large amounts of cardio, so I was expecting something similar. But as you know, I we started the prep around 2,300 calories, and I was making some very good progress on fat loss, and the body composition was starting really well. Um, so I was expecting it to be more. I don't intense wouldn't be the right word for it, but I was expecting it to be the calorie deficit to be more drastic when in reality it wasn't. And we lowered it a little bit, but we kept it very similar throughout the entire prep.
Yeah, and even if you look at your weekly average, because you also had 2 high days a week, and then at some point you had 3 high days a week. So for
Yeah.
anybody listening, like if they're familiar with refeeds, we pretty much had days like very close to maintenance or even slightly above. So we had like 5 kind of deficit days and 2 more maintenance, sometimes a tiny surplus. And then towards the end of prep, we like 3 days of the week were high days and then 4 low days. So it just kind of, whenever I talk about that, because I do that a lot with people that we have the time and we're in a good place in terms of our timeline for prep. Like we can take that. And I even think we took maybe even a couple of weeks at maintenance at some point during, we took
Yeah,
a
we did.
diet break.
Yeah, 3
Yeah.
weeks.
So that just blows people's mind. And you want to blow somebody's mind even more. Like how much cardio did we do in terms of like Stairmaster or running or cycling? Zero. Goose sake.
0. And it's actually it's funny because in one of your other podcasts I was listening to, the cardio just makes you more hungry.
Yes.
And so you're not feeling as hungry, and that's where I think that's where people kind of fall short. They're not eating enough, they're doing cardio, so you're just feeling hungry and depleted all the time. And I very rarely did I ever have those feelings towards the end. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
getting pretty lean. It's summer, so like you're having 30-degree days, you're gonna start to feel it. I work a very labor intensive job, so
Hmm.
I felt it some days, but it wasn't for the vast majority of it. I was feeling really good.
Yeah, man. And I think that's like a common misconception on the cardio piece. Like, I don't think I am very sparingly using cardio. Even, and some people say, "Oh, well, women need to do more because they, they're lighter and they need, more expenditure." And yeah, to a certain extent, but I just think people way overdo the cardio, especially in competition prep. And as you said, not only does it make you very hungry, you feel like crap all the time, and it also affects your training performance. Like if you're
Yeah,
doing, let's say you're doing like 50 minutes of Stairmaster like 6 times a week, like good luck hitting legs.
yeah, yeah,
So,
for sure. Yeah,
so those are some
it's
things to
when
think about.
the people wake up and they do their 1 hour of fasted cardio and stuff like that. What a horrible way to start the day.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't stick to that. And I'm
No.
I'm pretty like, dedicated, but I don't think I could do that. Okay, so no cardio. We had 2 or 3 pretty high days per week. For the majority of prep, we even took 2 weeks at maintenance at some point during prep. So like I feel like if people were to see your photos and see how lean you got, like I think I do think honestly you were the leanest person at the show that we were at. And like we had very great lines in the hamstrings, like very shredded midsection, like, quads were completely separated, like very lean. And it's cool that, the protocol that we didn't have to be overly restricted. As you said, towards the end of prep, when you're getting that lean, you're going to have some days you feel a little bit crappy, especially when you are, doing as labor, the same type of labor as you're doing for work and managing the family life and stuff. But like, I think we don't need to suffer unnecessarily,
Yep,
you know?
I agree for
So,
sure.
so, so would you say, obviously you said it was maybe less restrictive than you were thinking. Was there anything else about the process that kind of surprised you in terms of the setup or how it went?
In reality, like everything went kind of once I got dialed in and I knew what the protocol was. It was all fairly straightforward from there.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So we're gonna hopefully on thumbnail post some photos so people can like put a look. But I guess during the competition prep, your starting body weight, and I should have brought the sheets up, beforehand. But how much total weight, if you recall, did we lose throughout the competition?
So my first weigh-in was in January. I was at 184, I believe, somewhere around there, give or take a few pounds.
Yep.
Um, when it was showtime, before peak week, I think the lowest I weighed in was 162 or 163, something like that.
Yes, it was in the 163s, and we had the starting body weight was just under 185. So just for reference on people. So the good thing was during the building phase, we didn't get way out of bounds with the body fat. And I think that's also a really good thing for people to take away from this is don't get too loose in your building phases, because then if you are trying to get lean after that, or especially if you're trying to compete, like it's going to be a lot to come off.
Yeah,
You know,
100%.
so it's gonna be a long journey. So no, really awesome, man. And I do want to talk about now shifting kind of into home life. So obviously we talked about kind of what we did and the results and everything like that. But when it comes to your home life, give us a little bit of a rundown on how many kids you have, what kind of your role at work is, and like how the hell do you do it?
So I have 4 kids. Their ages range from 16 to 6. And I'm an electrician. I own my own business. My wife and I are we run the business together, and yeah, it's a lot. It can definitely be a lot. So between the 4 kids with the sports and all the schoolwork and everything else that's involved, we also have to do. I have to work 7 to 3 or 4 every single day, and then some, and come home and try to find some time to do paperwork. Otherwise, we don't get paid. So
Yeah. Got to
yeah,
get the invoices done. Yeah.
yep, that's it.
So in terms of like how you balance like training alongside that with work and the family, like what are some key strategies that you found have helped?
So some days I'll wake up a little bit earlier and I'll do some of the paperwork that I need to do to get some of the invoicing and the estimating done ahead of time. Um, we always made a plan that normally my workouts would happen when the kids have their downtime, which would be the time that they're on games or something like that, so that my workout doesn't really take away from the family time. Some days I can come home a little bit earlier to make that work, and then that way the kids are still in school. Every day is different day to day. So preparing a lot of the meals ahead of time so that we don't have to spend an hour in the kitchen every single day.
Yes.
It's all about just being prepared. I always have my next day prepared before it happens.
That is so key, and I know you're really good at that. Is creating the predictability, and I mean, I talk about this stuff like to exhaustion of proactively planning, looking ahead, and I feel like you're a perfect example of how that actually makes things a lot less stressful. I think people think that, oh, if I have to prepare, it's going to be more stress, but it takes away a lot of stress because then you already like, okay, I'm set up for success. I can just run my day. Now all your energy can be focused on the kids or work or your wife or whatever without having to worry about if you're going to miss on your variables.
Yep, for
You know?
sure. And
So
and that's why I like to keep things simple. Like my meals are very similar every day with minor variances. Makes the preparing ahead of time easy. And then that if something happens and I can't prepare ahead of time, it makes it easier to just make it and grab it and go. Like
yeah,
that's as long as you keep it within a certain range, everything's good, right? So even like take today for example. I yesterday my son had a baseball game and I was home till late, so I got home, I ate my last meal of the day, but I didn't have time to prepare today's meals. So I just knew basically this is what I need to eat throughout the day to keep it consistent. I tracked it, and sure enough, I'm on track for the day. So
I love that. And it's good, man. You're also adaptable. You plan, but then you also have to be adaptable, obviously, because
100%.
life changes, right?
Yeah,
So
100%.
in terms of the mindset shift that you had to have to be able to maybe be able to do all the things that you do for your own fitness and health while balancing the family and work, like what kind of shifts do you find yourself going through, or what have you gone through? Because I hear a lot from a lot of people. It's like the reason why I'm out of shape is because of my kids. Like they almost, and it's not. I feel like personally, yes, I don't have kids, but I feel like it's not fair to the kid to blame them. Like it's not their fault that you're out of shape. You know, you can still make different decisions.
100%.
So what's kind of like the mindset that you have in terms of like being able to do both, and how you've prioritized doing both?
Well, there's a lot of time like our kids aren't they're outside very often. They don't play they play video games, but they're not on the TV, they're not on their devices all day long. But you do always have those downtime every single day. And it's up to you what you do with that downtime. So I could be sitting on the couch watching TV, watching a movie, playing games, or scrolling Instagram, right? Or I can just get out there and do it. It's making use of those little pieces of time. Everybody has an hour. Like nobody is that busy that they can't find 1 hour a day to do something good for themselves.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And also, the home gym I think is really really helpful as well. The fact that you guys have invested in like that to create that environment, because then if you do have that hour, you're like, all right, gym time, boom, like go right and get it done type thing. So
Yeah.
yeah,
you strike while the iron's hot. Like I right now is a great time. I have my pre-workout meal, and then we just go right outside. Because we live in the middle of nowhere. Like my town has like 500 houses and one little corner store. I'm not
Okay.
in any vicinity of any gym. But the vast majority of people live in areas where the gym isn't as far as it would be for here. So yeah, it's making time for it rather than just saying I don't have time for it.
Totally. No, I love that. And okay, so the only other thing I want to talk about, so we talked a bit more about a family, but and going back to kind of the work, because I would say a lot of guys who do manual labor are, I guess, already, they feel like they're already moving throughout the day, right? So that I what I hear a lot of times is like, oh, my job's already active, so I don't need to work out. I already do that at work, or I'm too tired when I come home because I've been physically active all day. What would you say in terms of that kind of self-limiting belief? Because obviously, people in those types of jobs have a lot of health issues down the line. They technically, statistically do. So how do you kind of like bust through that mindset, or do you see that mindset in your industry at all?
With us, like so I do electrical work. It's not as labor intensive as somebody that's outside in plus 40 doing road construction,
Hmm.
where they're just manning a shovel all day. But I know lots of people that do these jobs that still find the time and still have the energy to go out and do it. Um, so so for me, I used to have that mindset where it's like, okay, I'm really tired. I had a long day at work. Yeah, I probably worked a few of my muscle groups a little bit or something, but you're not getting the stimulus on the muscles to grow or sustain your muscle development, right? So yeah, there are days where it's harder than others. Like some days I'm working. I leave my house normally around 6:30, 7 o'clock. The vast majority of the days I'm home around 4, 5, depending. Luckily today I was home a bit earlier, and some days I can get in a bit earlier. But I still get out there and do it. It's all mental, really, more than anything.
Yeah. Totally. And I feel like also it's like this cycle, because it's like if you work out, then you have more energy at baseline to then do more working out. But if you don't work out, then you have less energy and you're less likely to work out. you
Yeah,
know?
100%. Yeah,
So
exactly.
so that's also something to think about. Like once you get that rhythm rolling and you get in it, and then as you were talking about earlier, like getting that positive reinforcement of the results, obviously then you get hooked and you're like, oh crap, I want more of this type thing, right? So, okay. So that kind of gives us a good kind of full picture of everything. So talking about kind of future plans for yourself, obviously we did the competition prep, just finished kind of a recovery phase. I know we've chatted about next steps as well. So what's kind of your future plans in terms of your fitness? Obviously I know, but kind of telling the audience of like what's kind of the future plans here.
Future plans, next year is gonna be an off year, not off from working out, but off from any shows or stuff like that. And then, in 2028, I plan to do a prep for, the Toronto Naturals and go into the, men's bodybuilding category.
Nice, nice.
Looking
And
forward to that a lot.
oh yeah, I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to that too, because I like Brody and I actually had a catch up call yesterday to kind of plan, and I was telling him like his package this year and this season that he did, even his first bodybuilding show was already would have been competitive at a natural show, and then if we stack on another kind of several months, well, lots of months of productive training, and building muscle in the right places. Like imagine the package that we're going to bring next time. Like the guy's going to be crushing it up there.
Yeah.
So
That was kind of my thought. Like if I give myself a year plus to do that development in the areas where I think I'm going to need it, I could do a show next year, and I
mhm.
think I could do
Yeah,
I could do fairly well in it, right?
totally.
But I wanted to take that off year. This was my first prep this year. It was a lot of work, and I want to do that growth, get it all in the right areas, and then hit the stage running in 2028.
Heck yeah. When you said that, you kind of inspired me to be like, maybe I'm going to hop in, the same show, because I'm going to chat with my wife as well. But when we were talking about it yesterday, I was like, I was already getting the itch. And then you mentioned the 2020 show. I was like, I mean, I could be convinced if you twist my arm.
Yeah, that's it, man. Get in there. We'll we'll
It'd
we'll
be
bring
awesome.
a whole group there.
That would be sweet. That would be sweet. Okay, so I have a couple kind of final questions here. The first one is, you mentioned that okay, you were overweight for most of your life, right? So what was the kind of process like in terms of watching your body go from that to then being pretty much an elite natural bodybuilding physique. Like, it was that kind of like a shock to see yourself like that, or were you like, is that even me? Like, what? Talk us through the mindset with that.
It's crazy. You see yourself in a certain way for so long in your life, and you get to that point, and it's euphoric. There's no other feeling like it. Yeah, like your body goes through some pretty amazing things, and to see yourself make that transformation is just it's something else. You can't you can't there's no word.
Yeah, yeah. I think euphoric is a good one.
Yeah.
I think that's a good one. Yeah. And I'm obviously very proud of all the work you put in. I feel like you're a good example of somebody getting it done who could have the list of excuses, right? Of like the business and the kids and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? And obviously there's other like personal stuff that we can talk about that you're also dealing with and have dealt with as well. So there's so many different layers of excuse that you could use, but it's all the perspective. And this is why I like, bringing people on and having conversations like yourself. Is it helps hopefully give people that perspective shift of like, okay, if Brody has the same kind of potential reasons as to why he can't be doing it, but he is still doing it, then the only thing limiting me is my perception of whether or not it is possible.
100%. That's it.
So changing belief systems, which we talk about all the time. Okay, man, I don't want to take too much more of your time. The last thing I want to ask you is, what is one truth that you realize about yourself throughout this process? Because we ask every client this on.
It's a little bit of a, like, we've already talked about this a little bit. Bit of a trigger warning here. You're not too busy. You're too lazy. That's
okay.
in reality. That's it really hits home to think that, like, yeah, we all have these really busy lives, and there's so much going on, but I spend so much time hiding behind that you just kind of get over it.
Yeah. Wow. So just straight up, just direct, like
Yeah.
it is what it is.
No beating around the bush.
Yeah. Say it like it is. I like it. And you know what? I heard something the other day which I thought was interesting. And they said, the interesting about your like everybody's excuses that they have is you could convince yourself that they're very valid, right? Like if somebody said, hey, I have 4 kids and a business, I'd be like, you know what, it's totally valid if you were to miss some workouts, right? Like you can justify it, you can convince yourself that it's okay, you can convince yourself that it can't be done. But then as soon as you prove to yourself the opposite and prove to yourself that you did do it, then you're like, wow, that mindset I was in before, like, wasn't serving me.
And right now I'm at the point where I'm upset if I miss a workout. And it's not that I'm upset like in myself. It's just that, like, I know there's like something that I'm missing. It's gains left on the table, right? Same thing when you fall off diet a little bit and you deviate from the plan. You're kind of let down, and you're not let down like you feel like you did bad. You're let down because, like, that that's just another missed opportunity.
It's exactly it. It's missed opportunities for progress. I couldn't have said it better. Yeah. It's almost like if you were doing a multiple choice test and you just skipped a few questions. It's like, well, you could have tried and maybe got a higher score and answered some more questions, right? So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Cool, man. This has been a really great chat. Is there anything else that you want to leave with the audience? Any like mindset things or things that you feel like people should know?
Oh, just go out there and do it. And there's nothing stopping you from starting. And getting your foot in the door is the first step towards progress. And that's really all it takes. And once you start going, it's just a snowball, and it's just going to keep getting better and better.
Awesome. And I have to say it, confirm you are a real person. You're not AI. I didn't create you. Yeah, you're a real dude.
I'm 100% here. Yeah, just living my life.
Perfect. Good. Because, man, I've been getting some funny messages. People are like, oh, I thought you were AI, or like, is this a real thing? I'm like, yeah, we actually work with real people. Yeah.
Yes. This is my life. This is what we do. Yeah.
I mean, your hamstrings might look like they're AI, though. I gotta say.
No editing. That's all me. Yeah.
It's all natural. And you are natural, not using any steroids or performance enhancing drugs, correct?
Correct.
Sweet. Yeah. All right. Just because people will ask when they see the photos. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up there. We're going to wrap it up there for today. This is a great chat. Thanks again, Brody. And we'll see you next time on Truth Talks.
Bye.
Okay.